BJ.
Hey, Tyrann, just curious, man, just how have you been using this time wisely to try to get better at football, but also try to keep yourself sane, man?
Yeah, so I mean, I got my iPad, so I can, watch the film, see the reps, try to visualize it, and then just try my best to make it work at home. Try my best to really follow the guidelines and and then mostly just stay positive. I think that's most important. Just staying positive, staying in the right frame of mind. But been trying to get as much work in as I can with what I have.
Let's go to Danny Wilniak. Go ahead, Danny.
Hey, Tyrann. Hope you and your family are all well. Yes?
Thank you. Yes.
Good. Andy, just a few minutes ago, told us that he doesn't think this defense last year was nearly as good as it could be. You guys come off a Super Bowl win. Do you echo those sentiments?
I agree. We could have been so much better, especially the production at the ball. I mean, I think I dropped 8 interceptions by myself. And so you just understand that, if you make certain plays, it would have completely changed, how well we played. And I thought we played well, but it could have been great. So I think that's the motivation this year, is that we know we can really get better.
Let's go to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
All right, Tyrann, the draft, they take an LSU guy, they take a couple of defensive backs, they take like 3 guys total from Louisiana. Are you sure that you weren't the one pulling the strings on that draft last week?
Nah, I had nothing to do with that. Just a lot of great kids with a lot of great talent, from down there in Louisiana. But it's always cool when you get to play with a guy that what kind of culture he comes from. So I know he's going to come in, he's going to fit in. He's going to do really well, and and we got to support him, as leaders, as a team, and I think he's going to make an impact for us. So I'm excited about it.
Let's go to Darren Smith. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, Tyrann.
Hey,
hope all is well with you. Look, as one of the leaders on the team, how do you all fight against complacency going into the new season? And then have you had a chance to, I guess, maybe talk to or find out anything about Bashaud Breeland?
Well, I think, like I mentioned, earlier, I feel like we can really get better as a whole. And I know Frank Clark feels the same. I know Chris Jones feels the same. There's a lot of little things that we could have got better at. We're not necessarily patting ourselves on the back because we won a championship. I think we understand in order to do it again or even to win in the future, we're going to have to play better defensively. So teams will start to scheme us. They'll start to really, strategize how to beat us, and we're going to have to be able to really adjust as a defense. You mentioned Breeland. I haven't spoken with Breeland though.
All right, let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hi, Tyrann. Thank you for taking some time here. First, when it comes to some of these players that are drafted, and a lot were on the defensive side of the football, and Gay, and then Snead and Keys, I was just curious, how soon do you take it upon yourself to reach out to these guys, and what have those conversations been like? And then my second point was sort of in light of the Breeland situation, you've become the leader of the Chiefs defense. What does it mean, and what responsibility comes with being, in your opinion, a Kansas City Chiefs defensive back?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the couple guys that we drafted over draft week, and I think I actually hit up all those boys that night. Actually, maybe hit up Bo P the next day, but just excited to play with guys that love football. I don't think anyone's perfect, but I think if you're able to look at those guys, you'll say they love to play football, they love to tackle, they love to be out there. And I think as a defensive player, that's all you can ask for. When your GM is drafting a player, you just get a guy that love to play football, that love to tackle. And Coach Spags could coach him up. I could try to coach him up, and we'll figure out where to go. But I think being a leader is a ton of responsibility. So it's obviously a great deal of accountability as well. And you just have to hold people accountable. But I think most importantly, you have to hold yourself accountable. I think it's a certain way you practice. I think it's a certain way you play. I think it's a certain way you interact with teammates. It's a certain way you interact with coaches and even the media. So I think leadership is not just you being really good at football. I think it's you understanding that you're good at football and that you can help other people be good at football. And so I think that's leadership. And that's just what I try to do.
Let's go to James Palmer. Go ahead, James.
What's up, Tyrann?
Hey.
Question. With you being home and kind of a different scenario than you've ever had in an off season, I'm curious if there's other things that you've kind of found since you're such a student of the game to kind of maybe study, look at that maybe you wouldn't do in a normal off season, right? Just kind of maybe studying something differently or doing something differently that's kind of caught your eye.
No, well, actually, most off seasons I always study, offenses, right? I try to see what teams are going to be on the schedule that year. Then I try to get a jump start on them. But lately, I've been studying other guys, I think that's really starting to help my game too. Watching other guys play the position I play, because I play a lot of different positions, and at times my technique can kind of start to slip because I'm all over the place. And so I think it's good to kind of watch other guys play certain positions, but guys like Chris Harris, even Sherman, Patrick Peterson, Kevin Byard, Derwin James. So I watch these guys film, and we're all different. And so, but I try to take something from that. So I think that's where I'm at this offseason. I think I had a lot of time to really do that this year.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Tyrann, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Good.
Hey, I know you were following the draft, particularly in the early rounds, and you, not just the Chiefs, but the other teams. And you saw what the AFC West teams were doing, loading up to come after you guys. I just wanted to get your general thoughts on that. What thoughts do you have about these teams really coming after you? And Brad, if I could have one quick follow-up when it's done.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be exciting. I'm a football player. I love to play football, and I love the competition. I love that part of it. And I think anytime, opposing teams can, have exciting players on the other side, I think it's going to lift us naturally. I think we understand, what teams are trying to do, what style of play that they're going for. And so I think if we're able to see that writing on the wall, we're able to accept it. And then not as much understand them, but more so just embrace ourselves. Just stay confident. Just understand that, teams are doing certain things for a reason. And I think we got a little bit to do that.
Yeah. And one more question.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs drafted a couple really fast defensive players in Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed.
Mm-hmm.
I just was curious, is being fast on defense maybe more important in today's NFL than even it was when you came into the league, for instance, you feel like?
Well, I think being smart is the most important thing. Having fundamentals, I think that is essential. But I think anytime you can get a guy with speed, you're able to play a little bit more aggressive. You're able to take a lot more chances. You're able to take a lot more risk. You understand that the big play won't happen often because you got guys that can really run down the field. And I think us drafting those guys, I think is going to give us the ability to really, be able to adjust within a game what we're going to be able to do. And so I think, like I mentioned, anytime you get guys with size, speed, and those guys like to tackle too. So I think that they fit the mold that Spags like to do. So I'm excited about them.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tyrann. Thanks for doing this, man. I have a two-part question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share with us how different it feels, even in a virtual offseason, the terminology, the understanding of one another between starting with a whole new unit, a whole new coaching staff last year versus, doing it this year in a virtual manner? And then secondly, when it comes to Chris Jones, and obviously you've been through the league and what it's like for a player to be franchise tagged, just what has your message been to him, and how has he sort of interacted with the guys on the defense while trying to understand sort of where his future may be from a contract situation?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I think the biggest difference, meeting virtually with Coach Spags and Coach Merritt is that they're just so hands-on, and they're just not able to do that. It's like there's only so much Spags can do, and I think it's kind of driving him crazy, but he's making it work. But you mentioned Chris. He's such a great player. Like, he's such a dynamic player. I don't think anybody, wants him to leave. But I think it's just important for him to just, understand where he's at, understand where he's at just in this situation and understand that, you got a lot of teammates that want him to get paid, right? That's really rooting for him, man. So as long as he can be the same guy, right, full of great energy, he's a great teammate. As long as he can continue to be that, I'm sure something will work out for him.
Okay, let's go to Tyrann. Tyrann, go ahead.
Tyrann, thanks for the time.
Hey, what's up?
Not much, actually, really, right? All of us. But your story is a great one in the sense that, and I think it kind of applies to Willie Gay Jr. And I'm curious if you could take me back through your memory. They replayed around town some of the things that like Bill Polian was saying about you, and really questioning you as an individual. And you've grown to be, or always were, and that message wasn't out there, this great leader on the team, and you're one of the most well-respected guys in the National Football League. Did people questioning you and knocking you when you come out, did that drive you? And is that something that you share with the other young players that maybe have had a misstep here or there that, listen, there's a lot still out in front of you?
Yeah, absolutely. I probably said I had a big part in really driving me because I knew a lot of the things that were being said about me just wasn't who I am, and my teammates could probably say that. And I'm sure that's why a lot of those guys, still respect me to this day. I always look back on it and I say that, I'm thankful that, I had great people around me. And you hope the same for these young kids because they're going to get a lot of money. Things going to be a lot different. And that's what I tell them, to try their best to identify the good people in their life. And not the people that make you feel good, right? It's the people that tell you the honest truth. And the quicker they can do that, the quicker they can transition to truly embracing the life of being a professional. Because at first it's going to be difficult for them. A lot of people pulling at them, man. But I think the difference with these guys and the difference with me is that I love football. And if you can get the guy that loves football, he'll find a way to really make it work. And that's important. That's important.
Guys, we've got time for a few more, and I've got 3 hands up. So let's go Steve, Robert, and then Herbie. You can close us out. So go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Tyrann, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's happening?
Not much, man. I know you talked about trying to make do at home, and just kind of piggybacking on what James said earlier. Besides looking at film and studying, what's a day look like for you? And the second part of that is you have a radio-a-thon going on next week. Can you kind of talk about that and what you're doing to raise money for COVID-19?
Yeah, so, as far as being home, like I said, just trying to make the best of it, man. So, been doing a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation, unguided, guided, reading a little books, spending time with the fam, playing a lot of basketball with them, man. So that's been fun. And then I got the newborn as well. So, my daughter's 5 months. And so, I spend a lot of time with her, and I'm grateful for that. Can you repeat the second part, please?
You have a radio-a-thon going on next week.
Yeah. So May 7th, next week, Thursday, from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Sports 610 Radio. I'm going to be able to have my teammates call in, have special guests, silent auctions, and we're just really trying our best to really impact the people of Kansas City. And I've been having a lot of help with that. BMA Foundation has helped me with that. Restart, the Hope House. So I got a lot of beneficiaries in Kansas City that this radiothon is really going to impact. And so we hoping that the community can support it and my teammates as well.
All right, let's go to Robert. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Tyrann, Robert Remsen, Fox 4. So you answered a question earlier about Willie Gay Jr., and this question is kind of in the same vein. What's your opinion on giving guys second chances, especially when they've done some controversial things in college? And what do you think, how do you balance giving guys second chances and just kind of enabling bad behavior?
Well, I think we all deserve a fair chance, right? I think a lot of us make honest mistakes. I think a lot of us grow up in certain environments and we think certain things may be normal. And so it's a challenge for a lot of kids. And so I'm hoping that they can realize that. I'm hoping that they can see that. And then they're able to kind of adjust. But I always mention it's so important about the people around you, and then also what you tell yourself. You can only listen to people. You can only listen to the TV so much. You have to listen to your own thoughts and the things that you tell yourself. So as long as these kids can speak positive life into themselves, I think most of these kids will be all right, because most of these kids made honest mistakes. I don't think any of these kids are truly violent. I don't think that that's the issue. I think it's softer than that. So you just hope that these kids understand that, and that they just fall forward.
Okay, Herbie, go ahead.
Hey Ty, how are you, man? Hope you're
Hey,
doing
what's
well.
happening? Good.
Hey, LSU, Louisiana Tech, Tulane. What is it about the Louisiana players? Those I'm talking about, 3 of the schools that were selected by the Chiefs, and some of these players mentioned you a lot as someone they looked up to. How much do you embrace that role as a role model, especially for the younger players and younger kids coming up?
I mean, I just, I try my best to, I don't necessarily say that I'm a role model. I just try to, follow the role, that Pat P laid out for me, that guys like Larry Fitzgerald laid out, and Les Campbell, J.J. Watt. I don't think I'm doing anything different. I think it's just that those guys were able to really see me, right? I think that those guys were able to see not only me, but my story, the background, what really transpired. And I've always been transparent about that. And I think these kids appreciate that, right? Because, I make myself vulnerable, and then to them, I'm relatable. To them, I'm just like them. And, I feel like, they've been able to see a lot of my challenges, and which they probably had some of the same, and then they tell themselves that they can do it too. So, I don't try to do anything special. It's just, I just try to, overcome the obstacles that may be in front of me. I think people like that.
Tyrann, before we let you go, BJ Kissel's got one more debate he's trying to get involved here. Go ahead, BJ.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak on this, because Patrick Mahomes in Texas high school football and Nicole Hardeman at Georgia high school football have been going back and forth with all this research now, and they won't let it go. Yeah. And you even got involved talking Louisiana, and you're talking about the pride you have from Louisiana. You went as far as start doing some research of all the different guys and putting your team out there.
Yeah.
Just where do you stand on that debate? And I'll give you the floor to share your thoughts on why Louisiana should be in that conversation.
Yeah, well, Louisiana is a small state, BJ. And so I think per capita, I think we're actually second, I think right behind Hawaii. So, if we were a bigger state, we would put out a bunch of talent. And, I always tell people stories about some of the guys that I grew up with, and how I was never the best player on my team until I got to college. So it's a lot of guys that just love to play ball. And but we had a lot of guys that really came through that played both sides of the ball, not just one position. So we just take great pride in our sports, and I think that's just a Louisiana thing. But I think the argument is per capita, Louisiana is second, and if we had the resources Texas had, I think we'll be clear shot number one.
Tyrann, man, we appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, cool. Later.